The Morrison government will spend $500 million to help Pacific nations invest in renewable energy and increase their resilience to climate change and natural disasters. The announcement comes as Pacific leaders step up their calls for Australia to do more to combat climate change. Jackson Williams has more from Tuvalu.
It's a $500 million investment by the Australian government that will go towards renewable energy in the Pacific and helping island nations strengthen their resilience and adaptation to climate change. The money comes from existing aid funds and will be spent over 5 years from 2020, building on $300 million invested in the 5 years prior. Prime Minister Scott Morrison says his government's commitments to the Pacific shows Australia is living up to its role as signatories to last year's Boy Declaration, which identified climate change as the region's greatest security threat. The money is part of a climate change and oceans package that Scott Morrison will unveil at the Pacific Islands Forum this week. It's an announcement that will be welcomed, but what many Pacific leaders really want is for Australia, the biggest power in the region, to change its domestic policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. At a climate change dialogue in Tuvalu yesterday, Fijian Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama called on Australia to more fully appreciate the existential threat of climate change in the Pacific. He implored the Morrison government to rapidly transition from coal to renewable energy sources. It's a request unlikely to be heeded by Scott Morrison when he touches down here in Tuvalu tomorrow, but it's one that highlights the growing frustration in the region towards a perceived lack of action in Australia.